She was stirring a pot in the mess hall when it began, the rich scent of onions and garlic curling through the warm air as steam drifted toward the ceiling. Her hands moved with calm precision, a small smile on her face, flour dusted across her apron like a badge of ordinary life. To everyone on base, she was just the cook, the woman who fed the seals, laughed with them, and listened to their stories when they came back exhausted from training and missions. No. One suspected what she really was. A distant thud rolled through the compound. The hum of everyday life stuttered and then fell into an uneasy silence. She paused, knife hovering over a half-cut carrot, her eyes lifting as if something deep inside her had been warned. The camera would have caught it then, that sharp, alert look that didn't belong to a kitchen worker. Then came the gunfire. It wasn't loud at first, just muffled cracks followed by hurried shouts and the growl of engines starting up. Chest tightened. This wasn't a drill. This wasn't training. She moved to the door and opened it, just enough to look out into the night. The base was exploding into chaos. Dark dash-clad mercenaries poured through the compound, rifles flashing beneath. The moonlight, as they dragged captured SEALs toward waiting armored trucks. Men she had cooked for, joked with, prayed for. Their hands were bound, their faces hard with rage and humiliation. They had been ambushed for a moment. Fear froze her in place. She was just a cook, wasn't she? But beneath the apron and the quiet smile lived a past no one knew. Before the kitchen, before this peaceful hiding place, she had worn a uniform of her own. She had fought. She had bled. She had survived things that still whispered in her nightmares. She had sworn she would never do it again. That promise shattered the instant. She saw her family being taken, her fingers closed around the chef's knife. She slid it into her belt and stepped into the darkness, her movements smooth, controlled, deadly. The mercenaries were everywhere now, shouting orders in a harsh foreign tongue. Already celebrating their victory, they had no idea what they had just awakened. She slipped through, shadows toward the armory. 2 guards stood by the door, careless, relaxed. One quiet flash of steel dropped the first. The second barely had time to gasp before she crushed his windpipe against the wall. She caught his rifle before it hit the ground. Moments later, she was armed, an M4 across her shoulder, a pistol on her hip, magazines shoved into the pockets of her flour-stained apron. It looked absurd, terrifying. The trucks began to roll. She sprinted, boots pounding gravel, and dropped behind a burned-out vehicle. One precise shot blew out the rear tire of the lead truck. Metal shrieked. The vehicle skidded sideways and crashed. The SEALs turned in disbelief as they saw her rise from cover apron, a rifle, and fire in her eyes. She moved like a storm. Bullets tore through the night. Mercenaries fell. When they closed in, her knife took over, flashing through the darkness with brutal elegance. She fought with the calm of someone who had done this before, and the fury of someone who would not lose what mattered. Outnumbered, but not outmatched, she used the burning truck, the shadows, the confusion. She cut 2 SEALs free, shoved weapons into their hands, told them to fight. They did. The tide turned. As the second truck tried to escape, she ran, leaped, and caught hold of its rail as it roared forward. Bullets streaked past her as she climbed, kicked, and forced her way inside. The captives were chained. The mercenaries didn't stand a chance when it was over. She tore the chains free. The SEALs stared at her as if she were something out of a legend. Their bruised commander met her eyes. "Who the hell are you?" she almost answered. Almost told them about the soldier she used to be. Instead, she shook her head. "Doesn't matter. You're free." By dawn, the compound was quiet. Again, smoke drifted into the pale morning light. She wrapped her wounded hands and walked back toward the mess hall as if nothing had happened. One young SEAL stopped her. "You saved us." "Why?" She smiled softly. "Because no one takes my family." The screen fades as the sound of gunfire melts. Back into the gentle clatter of pots and pans, the scent of stew once again filling the air. A quiet voice speaks over the final frame. "Sometimes the bravest heroes don't wear medals or stand in the spotlight. Sometimes they're the ones you least expect. A cook, a quiet soul, someone who chooses peace until peace is no longer an option. And sometimes, the softest hands hold the greatest power.